Welcome to Awaking Happiness. Something came up in conversation the other day, which was very, very interesting, and we thought we would take that topic and make a recording of it so that we can share what we were thinking about. So, Desi, what was it?
Hi everyone. This topic was, why do people want to be right? And they can't tolerate anybody else's opinion. So they stick to their own opinion and they think that's the only way. There is no other way. They're right and you should, that's the word they constantly use. You should or you must. You
Need
can't
to?
not. You need to think like me, because otherwise they can't comprehend that there might be another way, another opinion. So that was that topic. Why do we want to be right?
It's really interesting because we've all done it. I'm as guilty as the next person, and we've all done it. We've all been there. I'm sure everyone can identify with this, and we can also identify with the frustration of the person who's being dictated to and being told they're wrong, and we can also, because of that, probably understand how the other person feels when we're trying to bludgeon them over the head with our right and they're wrong. And we have countless situations in today's society where this happens. There's a huge list of things where people are loggerheads with each other about concepts which are being talked about on the TV, in the newspapers, on the in programs and all social media, Twitter, everywhere. And we can't, you can't avoid it. It's out there, and if you're in the human race, engaging in some of these platforms of any type, you're going to come across it. There's no question. And so, what's going on? What's happening? That apart from the fact that most situations, I'm not saying all, but in most situations, you're given two options: Brexit, Remain; Democrats, Republicans; Labour, Conservatives; virus pandemic, no virus pandemic; Ukraine war, Putin's fault, not Putin's fault. It's like there's only two options in all of these situations, and depending on what you consume, you end up forming an opinion.
Well, because you're
And
forming
then
the opinion of that
of
group
what
of
you listen
people.
to and what you
Hmm.
and then you get into a discussion in the pub, at the coffee morning, at the meet up, whatever, wherever you socialize, you end up getting into a conversation, and then it starts.
And then everyone thinks that they have the truth and the other person is either being awkward, or they don't want to hear you, or they just are simply stupid, or they're not educated enough, or some other expletive can come out,
and
can
and
start flying around, depending on the level of engagement and the level of how much energy is involved in the argument.
and
It can go.
it happens in families. I mean, just a very simple situation where something comes up, and like I respond, and my sister turns around and says, "Oh, look, don't start going down that road. You always do this." It's like all I've done is say there's a possibility of another way of thinking about it, not the way that she would choose to. And I love my sister. Nothing wrong here. But then we're into a potential road to conflict, which
Mhm.
can result, over many of these topics I identified earlier. People have fallen out, families have fallen out, best friends have fallen out, never to speak again Over what? Why is
Over
it so?
over an opinion.
And why is it so important that they're prepared to sacrifice their families and long-standing friends over opinions, over something which is going to, in the next 6 months to a year, disappear anyway? And then what? How do you reconcile that situation?
Yeah. So we thought we needed to unravel this, and that's why we are recording this video. So we were talking earlier, what is the reason? Why do people have this need to be right, and they can't have it other ways, in any
I
other
mean,
way? So
you
we
know,
thought maybe it's some kind of a protection mechanism, a coping
well,
way of
you can all put
masking.
your, you can all put yourself in situations that you've been in, and the feeling that you get, like almost like, how can this person talk about this opposite opinion and think they're right when quite clearly they're wrong?
Or there was a joke. Oh, I'll agree with your opinion, but then both of us will be wrong.
it's like it's like you've done your research, you know what the truth is. Now this other person clearly hasn't done their research according to you, and they have the opposite view. What's wrong with them? that's your view. What on earth? Maybe I've just got to shout a bit louder, be more forceful,
Maybe be more forceful, then they'll get my message.
maybe get angry, maybe a bit, maybe they'll just succumb to my obvious greater intelligence and then accept that I'm right and that they're wrong.
And if I give them more and more evidence about me being right, then they might change their opinion.
But the other person's saying, how can this person be so adamant about their right when they're so wrong? Have you
Because
heard
I
that?
have this other
Yeah. And,
evidence.
and it comes down to belief, doesn't it? One
Mhm.
person believes one thing absolutely 100%, and the other person, but you can understand why duels happened in the past, can't you? Where people shot each other because it's almost like, if you can't accept this, I'm going to have to kill you. It's like,
Well,
well,
that's the reason why all big conflicts happen.
yeah, that wars happen, everything because of what? Ego. Well, I think ego plays a massive part, but another part of it is that unable to conceive that there can be two situations where the two situations are both acceptable, because
It's
neither
like
accept.
there's two viewpoints on the same
Data
situation. What you
or
mean, like
something.
a perception can be different depending on the person.
Yeah, and I
About the
mean,
same, two people looking at the same thing, one is seeing this and the other one is seeing that, and they can both exist at the same time, obviously, because they're both looking at the same thing. But these two people can't seem to
yeah, I mean,
come
let me
to an
let me give you,
agreement.
let me give you two examples. Schrodinger's cat. A cat gets put into a box, and in there is some poison, which if the cat eats, it will die. So after an hour, the question is the cat alive or is the cat dead? Well, we can't answer that question, can you? So the answer is the cat is both alive and dead at this point in time. Because we don't know the truth. Well, although the cat's dead because it's eaten the poison. Yeah, but it might not have done, might it?
You
So
might have
if
not
it
eaten
hasn't,
it.
the cat's alive. The only way we're going to know is open the box and find out, right? So that's one example
That's a
of
good example, actually. A very good one. Yeah.
how the two situations can coexist at the same time, and there is no truth, um, one way or the other. And there's other examples where I'm just trying to think of some now. Well, I said two things and I've forgotten what the other one was. But
There was an example of Schrodinger's cat with a cupboard with plates that
yeah,
had fallen off the shelf, but the door was holding on to them, and they weren't broken. They were still up, standing precariously propped up against the shelf and the door. And the question is, are these plates broken, or are they
okay.
what's the opposite of not broken, like not
Unbroken, unbroken.
unbroken? Are they still
Whole.
whole, or are they shattered? And the question is, if you keep the door, the answer is, if you keep the door shut, yes, they will. But if you open the door, chances are it's going to be the opposite. So we don't know unless we open the box that would open the door.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like we can't. There are two situations, and if you let me talk about the one with the statins. That was the other one I was going to use, right? The statins. And people say you can't argue with the data. The data, it tells you the facts, but we all know in this political world that people manipulate data. They manipulate data. They say, right, what answer do we want? We want this answer, right? How can we interpret this data to give us this result, right? That's basically the starting point. So if you take statins, it's a drug which is supposed to be helping people of a certain age, I won't say what age because it could be variable, to basically reduce their cholesterol, right? Now, let's say that these tablets halve the risk of you having a cardiovascular event. Now, anybody in their right mind, wouldn't they, if they're of that age group, is going to say they halve the risk. Okay, well, I'm in. Sign me up. Where do I sign up? Get me the drugs as fast as you can. I'm in. But if I was to tell you it was taking you from a 2% chance to a 1% chance, which is halving the risk, would you be so anxious and excited to take the drugs, going from 2% to 1%? It's the same data, right? So it's like your interpretation of it.
It's the words.
Is the word. So when people say, look, the facts are the facts, it's like, no, well, they're not, are they? They're not facts. They are an interpretation of events and outcomes.
Yes. And it's a good thing that sometimes people have this ability to be flexible and change their opinion when they're given the different type of words. But that doesn't happen always, because most data is not as simple as that. And when there is the danger of, I don't know, in our recent times, of death, and you killing your grandmother, then they're very adamant and everybody becomes very emotionally involved. So when emotion starts to come to play part in the whole thing, our reasoning goes on the second kind of steps back and lets the emotion control everything, because that's how we are wired. We are emotional beings. Well, unless we have a way to process that emotion, or we have processed it before so we don't get triggered. So if somebody says to me, oh, don't do this because you're gonna you're spreading a disease, or you are doing something, you're causing, I don't know, you're killing your grandmother, you're killing vulnerable people, I don't get emotionally involved in any of this, because I know that I'm not doing anything, because I know from my perspective that, so there is no emotion in me that gets triggered by that fear of death or fear of killing, or I don't know, that kind of trigger. I have a different one. My trigger is, you are telling me that I'm going to do this, and you're telling me that I'm not clever enough to figure it out. So my emotional trigger would be to do with me being stupid. You calling me stupid now? And some women might have, oh, you're calling me fat. whatever that trigger is, whatever that emotion is brought up on the surface, that's where the whole argument happens, and that's where there's like two rams hitting their heads together, because this one is triggered by one emotion and the other one is triggered by probably the same emotion, and they're all bashing their heads to figure out who's right, and both of them won't say, okay, I agree with you, or it doesn't matter, let's go away. It seems
But
like it's this emotion that needs to be expressed in a not very healthy way.
the interesting thing about this is that what happens to these people with differing opinions, and social media isn't very helpful in resolving this, because what tends to happen is that the things you view often or engage with often get presented to you more regularly. So consequently, you end up being in an echo chamber. So in the situation that you were talking about with the pandemic, you end up, if you can subscribe to the concept of the pandemic and everything that relates to it, i.e. the if you like, the main media narrative, then basically you will only be seeing things that effectively agree with you. So it's less hostile, because you're not seeing people ranting on the other camp. The pandemic doesn't exist and everything else. You don't see
So it's
any
kind
of
of
that.
isolating you furthermore into your
No, it's
opinion,
dividing you.
solidifying your opinion.
Yeah, and it's dividing you,
It's
because
dividing.
the other. So when you meet, let's say you meet in a group socially, where there are no such automated electronic devices for division, you suddenly come across people who've got a different viewpoint. Now, what happens in that circumstance? Well, the people shuffle about having conversations and they gravitate towards the group. So you end up with two bunches of people. One bunch of people that's pro this and one bunch of people which are not pro this. And almost neither twain should meet, because now these people are forming a group, which in a huge scale would be a war. But here it's just a small group of people. Now, those people will start to disassociate with each other, because that person's not like me anymore. So here we get division being cemented by a group, a collective, who are now finding all the ways, while those are to describe those other people as idiots, and vice versa. And basically, it just increases the divide. And I've got situations where I will speak with people who have a very, very strong opinion, and I pretend, you know, I pretend to put the argument for the opposition forward, to which case they say, "Oh, I thought you were one of us." And suddenly I'm like being raged against, because they were under the impression that I was like, had the same opinion of them. And now I'm demonstrating that I have an awareness of the other way,
Other
the other
side.
arguments. And they're almost they're almost showing the same level of hostility to me as they would be to someone that they really thought was that as a confirmed. Right, all I'm doing is saying both situations can be acceptable, depending on the history of the person, the upbringing, the background, the societal exposure, the groups they've been involved in, the study they've done themselves, the work they've put in to become themselves. All of that stuff is relevant. And yet they're both just slinging the word idiot over the fence. Right. And
It's like with everything, we've been divided so much because a divided world is easy to control.
absolutely fear.
Divide
Fear.
people. What was it? Julius Caesar said, um, if you want conquer, divide and conquer, or
Divide and
conquer,
conquer.
divide and conquer. So divide the population, make them to be arguing about this and that. They're
Fearful.
wasting their energy on this
They just go
instead
there and
of
mop up.
thinking more creatively and working together and coming up with different solutions. They're too busy fighting and too busy spending their energy in places that is really not
You know,
for their
and
benefit.
You could also, yeah, you could take Julius Caesar and just superimpose him on the current government. What do? They promote
Mm,
football matches. They promote all sorts of games. Well, didn't they have games in Rome? Yeah, they did. Yeah, I forget that. Yeah, they come up.
yeah.
And basically, they're just keeping you entertained and divided while they feed in new things that support what they want to do. While you're distracted, you're not bothered because you're enjoying the games or enjoying this or enjoying that, and not
Or being
participating.
emotionally triggered by whoever said something about someone else, gossiping on the news. This is just, I haven't seen the news. Both of us haven't seen the news for so long. And on the one rare occasion that we saw it somewhere in someone else's house, saw the news, I was absolutely flabbergasted by the level of gossip it was. It wasn't news.
There wasn't much news there. Well, that's what's happened to the newspapers, haven't they? They've degenerated into a farce, really, same as the news on the TV. And yeah, what I will say is that these people slinging these idiot names across the fence, neither of them are the idiots. Each of them believe in the points that they've been exposed to. Right,
Mm,
they're not,
yeah.
none of them are idiots. And what they're disagreeing, and this is a key point, what they're disagreeing on at tops is 10%, or maybe even
Oh, probably
5%.
even less.
What they have, what they are absolutely in agreement with is 90 to 95%. So they're disagreeing to the death over 5%, right?
Mm.
And, if they had a bit more flexibility in their minds, and this is probably where it comes to, they could basically say, look, from what I think, my opinion is, and everyone's got an opinion, I believe this. And you, based on the things that you've seen, some of which I've also seen and discounted, by the way, just to throw that in there. The others, yeah, you can believe what you like, to be honest, and go down with the ship or otherwise. Right? I don't mind because I'm okay with what I think, and I'm okay that you're okay with what you think. But I can't hear that rhetoric anywhere. I can't hear that coming out. I'm okay with you being okay with what you think, even though I
Yeah,
don't
this
agree
is
with
not
it.
a divisive argument, so you're not going to hear it from anywhere.
No, no,
Apart
no.
from people who have done the work in themselves and have um, worked on, in particular, this rigidity, and we did talk about this fixed mindset. That so these people have worked on the fixed mindset, on the rigidity of thought, on the acceptance of, um, firstly, of themselves, and then you can actually accept others. When you are accepting of yourself, then you can accept anything else. So we're actually a society of sick people going around,
I mean, I
not
know.
because of some virus, believe it or not, but because we are sick in our beliefs, in our mindset, in our emotions, in our body. We hold on to old grudges instead of learning how to let go of those, and they get stuck in our body, and then we develop illnesses of all sorts.
It's not helped by. Um, it's not helped these days by the the social media and the technology, which is all enhancing the worst bits, to be honest. But what was the title of this talk again? What was it?
Why do we want to be right?
Well, I don't think we've answered the question, right? All I think we've been able to do is highlight some of the examples where we feel this is manifesting itself at this point in time. And then I
Well,
think
hmm.
you've got to do
I
your own
have a
work.
few. I have a few examples, a few reasons why do we want to be right. And I'm going to quickly
Okay.
go through those. So maybe it could be a mask for your insecurity. So what if I'm wrong? And then what are the consequences if I am wrong? So I'm insecure. I'm not allowed to make mistakes, or mistakes are wrong, or mistakes are bad. So depending on how your childhood was, you might develop this as a coping mechanism. Or if you are accepting that somebody else is right and you're wrong, then you don't want to actually concede ground to the enemy. So the other person is the enemy, and we don't want to do that. They're the enemy. I'm right. I'm not letting them win. Or people can use this against you. So if you say, oh yeah, you are right, I'm wrong, especially at your workplace, people might use this as something against you. So in my case, it was, I never said I was wrong, but I went along with it and they kept bullying me. So yeah, they did use it against me. So again, it's something to do with mistrusting and admitting that, well, you know what I mean. So it might be taken against you. So that's why, that's another reason. Third reason. The fourth reason, and I think I might have some of this, is when you think that you know best because you've done a better research and you've studied this and you've accumulated data and you've done a lot of thinking about it, and you think you are kind of superior than the other person, and so you can't admit that they might be right about something. Especially adults with kids tend to do that. They think they're right and the kid doesn't have a word in it. So this is this is number four, a sort of elitism. And then we have the mental health, so keeping things the way they are, like, orderly. So we don't want to be changing our perceptions, we don't want to be changing the way we see things, because as things are at the moment is a little bit of an orderly kind of, it is orderly enough and I can cope with it. But if things starts to change and I now start accepting this, that is true, and so far I was believing that this was true, and oh, it's too much change, I can't cope. So it's not very predictable and it's causing me illness.
So
So
that's
but what
basically
happens,
pushing it into the long grass and saying I'm in denial.
right? So these were the 5 reasons why people probably might want to be right. But it's all up to the person to decide. Why is it for you that you have this need to be right? What is what is causing it? And maybe there is a better question to ask than what is causing it. Maybe you need to think about it in different ways. When was it the first time you you noticed about yourself that you want to be right and you can't tolerate being
Well,
wrong, or
we're not into fixing things for people
no,
because
it's just
basically,
a suggestion.
yeah, I mean, people need to probably need to just like maybe having listened to this, you can open up your mind and say, have I done this? And the answer's probably yes.
Yeah, we all do
Might be
it
not.
all the time.
Then look at it and say, am I being fair with the way I dealt with someone who thinks differently? Because it's their right, isn't it, to think differently to us? If we all thought the same, we'd be in the future already. Maybe it's like we all have the ability to take on board information and come up with something which we feel is acceptable based on what we're told and or what we've learned or what we've experienced. But in reality, did we experience it? I mean, people say to me, what do you think of Prince Charles? Well, I've never met the man.
Mm.
King Charles now, never met the guy. I don't know. I can't answer your question. And, like in reality, that's the truth. They're asking me for my opinion on other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether their opinions are right.
And so the consequences of all of these reasons why you want to be right, and the consequence of wanting to be right, I've got 4 consequences. So the first one is that this person who always wants to be right doesn't seem to be a very good listener. They don't want to listen because they think they know, and what's the point in listening? So they get the impression, the other person gets the impression that they're not heard, because that other person doesn't want to even engage
They're
in the conversation. They're just
closed-minded.
talking all the time, telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Another consequence of this is that you can't see the bigger picture because you're stuck with your own opinion and you can't really open your mind and see that there are other opportunities and other options all around. And then as a result of all of this, the personal growth is kind of stopped. or very slow, or maybe it doesn't even
Stunted.
happen.
It's stunted big time.
It's
Isn't
stunted.
it?
And overall, the biggest even consequence of all of this is that it just robs you out of your happiness, because you constantly are either on the offense or on the defense to be maintaining your opinion and the need to be right. And
Stress levels go through the roof then,
yes,
because you're always in battle, either
you're always either
defending or
defending
attacking.
or offending or attacking, and you can't relax. And yeah,
Well, some will argue that change only ever happens if people are attacking or defending. Yeah, if you're sitting there on the sidelines going, "Oh, they're both right," nothing's changing. Right? That's what some people will argue that's true. And if you look back in history, um, I guess change has happened through people taking action. But that's a different way of looking at it.
but
All those things were
taking
conflict.
action could be by not taking action, because at the moment there is another saying, a Bulgarian one: while two people argue, the third one wins. So while they're all battling away, guess who's winning? The government
Well,
or
they're
the
all killing
rulers or something.
themselves, and the guy that's left is the one that wasn't playing the game.
Exactly. They're going to be the ones who make the new world, because there's going to be nobody else left. Let's finish on this jokey kind of way, and I hope you find some usefulness in this.
Yeah,
I don't know how long we've been on, but yeah,
long enough. Right.
long
Okay.
enough.
So thanks for watching, and see you on another one soon.
Bye bye.